All right. What's up, Hans Troyer? Welcome to the Vamos Rundown.
Rock on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. So quick little story. I'm actually doing my first 100-miler in May. And so I kind of geek out. And what I do is I just kind of browse YouTube. I'll like watch Jack Miller videos and just, Jim Walmsley videos and, just get inspiration there. And then I came across your Bandera video. So that's how I kind of got to know you a bit. And I'm like, who is this guy just charging right from the beginning? And then I kind of like looked into you and I was like, did he just run his first 50K like in October? Is that what I?
Yeah, that's correct. My first 50K race, yeah, it was in October.
Wow, great. Because I know like you're a successful runner and all that good stuff, but many young guys don't just like hop right into ultra running just right from the get-go and have amazing success like you did. And so right after that, I mean, in January, you ran Bandera, which you won, and Bandera is in 100K for the people that don't know. And you ran like 7 hours, 45 minutes, which is, an amazing time. I think close to a course record, but there's an asterisk near there, I hear.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, that's right there with the top pros. So super awesome. And then you follow it up, 4 weeks later with Black Canyon, and you're just mixing it up with the top pros there. So another 100K, so less than 4 weeks, you finish in the top 10. So we'll get into those like a little later, but I just want to say, man, like I'm a big fan right now. You're bursting on the scene. You're the young gun right now, like in my eyes. So no pressure or anything like that. I'm just like fanboy over here. But yeah, dude, it's totally awesome. I think you have a bright future ahead and excited to see what you do, man. So
thank you.
With that, like tell us a little bit about yourself. One, how old you are. I know how old you are, but tell the people how old you are, where you're from, and a little bit about, what your running journey looks like just from, when you got started and things like that.
Yep. So I just turned 24 a few weeks ago. Luckily, I was 23 when I raced both the 100K, so it looks better on paper. I'm from Noonan, Georgia. I started running in middle school. I ran track. I didn't run cross country until high school. Then I also ran in college, but my dad was a runner in high school. He really only ran to stay in shape for swimming. He was a really good swimmer. But yeah, so pretty standard upbringing in the running world. However, in college, later in college, that's when I started to become obsessed with the idea of running really far. It always kind of piqued my interest. I enjoyed the long run. And so it was kind of obvious. The obvious next step was ultra marathoning outside of college. But yeah. Cool.
And then, in college, you were pretty successful your team was pretty good, right?
Yeah. We were Division II school, but we won conference most years. I was on the team, went to nationals a couple times. It was a good old time.
Sweet. That's awesome, man. So, like you said, you just found that you were good at the longer distances. What was that like mental shift and like from a mindset standpoint, and just how did you know that you could kind of withstand, that grind of, what an ultra race 50K and beyond entails?
So I read Killian Jordan's book, Run or Die, my senior year. And I remember just everything he was saying, I was really relating to, just like the obsession with like running far and finding your potential and stuff. So mentally, I knew that it's what I was probably going to be good at, just because it was just so entertaining to me to read the books like that and to hear stories like that. I went ahead and tested my theory. Right out of college, I just decided to run like a 50-miler off very little training, like 2 months after college. And then that's when I kind of realized that maybe I had some potential because I didn't really train for it. And I just ate like goldfish and drank Mountain Dew and just went out running and I ended up averaging like 8:30 something pace with 50-miler. And then I put that towards what the pros are running and stuff. And I was like, obviously that's not as fast as they're running. I was like, but I didn't really train for it. Yeah. So I was like, maybe, just maybe, I could be pretty good at this. But mentally, I was always there. Like I've always been good at pushing myself and finding ways to, work with difficulties and stuff like that. So Yeah.
You're a grinder, man. And I'm not trying to put a label on you, but you have a little bit of like ultra running Prefontaine in you. I don't know, like I feel like you're just like you just get after it, man. You're just like, I've never done this before. In a sense, I've never done this before, but I'm gonna give it a try and I'm gonna just go out there and try to win. Is like how I feel. And I don't know you yet, but that's how I feel like you're perceived just by just seeing what you've done so far. So
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, that was my mentality for both Bandera and Black Canyon. I mean, there's not very many hills around here, so I was just thinking, I mean, hey, I'm just gonna go for it. I don't know if I'm a good hill runner or not, but I mean, I'm interested in finding out. So,
yeah, so I know that like you could still mix it up, I'm sure, on the roads and cross and track if you wanted to. Do you think that the trails are where you want to stay, or is there any crossover that you can see in your future, or what do
oh,
you
100% trails. I mean,
love
those races were amazing. The trails are so beautiful. I'm obsessed with the exploration side of it. It just
it?
feels it's fun. I mean, I've thought maybe just maybe like when the 2028 Olympics comes around, go to the roads just to see if I can make the trials or something. But that's down the road. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. So before we head into like talking a little bit about Bandera and Black Canyon, what would you, if you were to kind of put a label on your running style, what do you think it would be?
Oh man. I mean, based off the past two races, I want to say aggressive.
Nice.
I mean, I I was more aggressive at Black Canyon for a couple of reasons, but I like to say aggressive. Um, Black Canyon also, I would say, a little careless, which was a mistake. So that won't happen again. So I won't say careless, but aggressive, I think, is a
That's cool.
good
Well,
term.
aggressive is good, and you live and learn. And I mean, the best people, they're aggressive. They take chances. They take risks. So yeah, man, that's I think that's kind of the one thing that I was like, whoa, I was really drawn to you just by exactly your aggressiveness and just willing to take risks. So yeah, good for you, man. Keep it rolling. And yeah, I mean, learn from what you learn from. So uh, yeah, let's talk about Bandera. So, I mean, all I saw was YouTube and just tracked a little bit. So it seemed like that was pretty smooth. Any highlights there? Any just quick little recap on Bandera and how that worked out for you?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a highlight. I mean, it was my first 100K. I didn't really know what to expect. I wrote my nutrition and hydration plan up the night before the race and gave it to my parents. My parents were the crew, and it just went smoothly. I mean, I did some things like I stopped at every single aid station for like a minute or maybe a minute or less, a little over, but I just took my time, got my nutrition, got my hydration. And I was surprised because, well, first of all, I didn't know that it was a golden ticket the race or the years prior than it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
this year. Um, I didn't know it was a golden ticket race at all. So I was like kind of expecting a lot of competition. And so, and it doesn't help that I don't really know a lot of the top guys in the sport. Or like I know the top guys, but I don't know it's like some of the other top
Yeah,
guys.
you're
So
still learning.
on the
They're like,
starting
oh, who's
line,
this guy?
yeah, yeah. So on the starting line, I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh man, like any of these guys could be so good. I don't really know. But then it would like 2 miles into the race, and I was in the lead. I was surprised and also just excited. And then every like aid station after the first like four, so my dad would just say, "You're at least 10 minutes ahead." We don't know how far you are actually ahead because we keep leaving the late aid stations before someone gets there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is insane. So I think all of Bandera was just running on excitement. I mean, everything was so cool. People were cheering. The views were good. I felt good. So Bandera was just a highlight in all categories. It's amazing. And I met so many people. But yeah, and I felt really good. So
And then, like from a nutrition standpoint, do you feel you had it pretty dialed in there? I mean, just because you're pretty smooth. I mean, it seems like your parents were crewing you pretty good. So, from that standpoint, do you think you made some good choices from a
I
nutritional
think I
standpoint?
did. I mean, all the nutrition hydration went smoothly. I mean, I had some cramps that popped up like roughly mile 40. But I had like a good recovery from that. I mean, I slowed down a little bit and then just started taking more like salt, and I went ahead and took all like drank my entire water bottle for that section. And
Yeah.
within like 3 or 4 miles, I had made a comeback, which was my first ever like bonk and recovery in
Yeah.
the same like race. So that was super exciting. And so when I had realized that I had recovered from bonking, I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I didn't even know I could do that. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
even added more excitement. So like I definitely like did some things wrong in terms of hydration and nutrition. Um, but overall, like it was successful, even though I didn't do it absolutely correctly.
Yeah. I don't think like that distance, like 100K and beyond, is ever like roses. There's always some just
Yeah.
like dark points. So, yeah, good for you, man. And like I said, just keep on charging through. So now let's get to the big one, Black Canyon. Dude, I mean, top pros are there. It's stacked. That is a golden ticket race. I mean, you're charging. You're in the mix for the win. Like most of the race from what I've seen on the recap. And yeah, dude, I just want to hear like. And I know it started a little late, and like there's a lot of little just like intangibles that like factored in. So yeah, give your quick synopsis of like what happened, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so obviously I wasn't originally planning on running Black Canyon. I mean, my training cycle had started in July. So I kept pushing it further and further just to do more races. And then on top of that, having done Bandera just 4 weeks before, I guess there was probably still a little damage in the body left over. But I wanted to do it super bad. And I I was feeling really good actually, like a week before the race, and then I had like an Achilles thing pop up, which put me out of running. Like I didn't run for like 4 days leading up to the race, just to try and get it under control. And then we like missed a flight on the way there, so we had to drive all night, like 2 days before, and then the whole day was kind of rushed. So there was a lot that was going on before the race. Um, and if anything, that kind of gave me the mentality of like a all or nothing race. And I think that's one of the reasons that I took it out pretty hard and made sure I was staying up with the leaders early on. Um, and wow, that was so much fun. And I really enjoyed running like with Hayden for all those miles and running with the other guys. I think probably a little bit of a mistake. I mean, and then I think that on top of just I tried to use the same nutrition and hydration plan that I used for Bandera, and I think that I underestimated some of the distances between aid stations because, like, I didn't stop at every aid station this time around. Only stopped at the ones where my crew was at and tried to make it quicker. Because after Bandera, I had a lot of people telling me that my aid stations were really slow. I was like, oh, I had no idea. So I tried to fix that. But in fixing that, I think that I just didn't take enough of what I should have been taking. And then there's a lot of like small things that I've looked back on that I think that I could have done better leading up to the race or during the race. But yeah, at mile 45 ish, started to hit a wall. And this time I didn't bonk and come back. I just kind of pain trained it all the way to the finish line. There was muscle cramps and just some serious fatigue. But never did walk, which I was very proud of. I just ran all the way in, just absolutely muscled it out. Mentality was all over the place, but I was obsessed with finishing and still having a pretty good finish. So
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the way it went down. I mean, I had fun, learned a lot, and excited to tackle more like that in a better way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, dude, that's super respectable. You still beat, several pros. And I mean, the time was like, I wrote it down here. It was eight, 8 hours, 3 minutes, eight hours.
Yeah,
Dude, I mean, holy, dude, that's freaking smoking. So yeah, you'll learn from it. I'm sure like you would have liked another, 20, 30 minutes off that time, but that's still smoking, dude. So
thank you.
congratulations. Um, so I mean, after that, you started feeling a little, little weird. So you came down with a case of rhabdo. I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about that if you feel comfortable with
Yeah,
what?
sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I didn't pee at all during the race, right? Which I thought was probably a red flag, but I didn't think much of it
Just
until I
pee
like
yourself,
told.
dude. You got to pee yourself during a race.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't have to pee. That was the scary part.
Yeah.
Um, but I finished the race, and this is almost 2 hours later. Like we had left the finish line and everything, and I finally told my crew. I was like, oh, by the way, I said I still haven't peed since before the race, and they all of them were just like, wait, what? Like at all? I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, not at all. So then I finally got around to it, and just to get graphic here, it was like Coca-Cola colored pee, like really bad. And so
Yeah.
instantly we're like, oh no, this isn't good at all. So we actually
Yeah.
went back to the finish line, and I got 2 IV bags, which now looking back on it was probably very, very, very good that I did do that, because of how bad it ended up being.
Yeah.
But I had had like really small cases of rhabdo in the past where like I would just hydrate really well, and within a few days I'd feel pretty good and all was well. So I kind of had the same mentality for this time around. So the travel back to Georgia from Arizona was awful. I should put it that way. I was trying to hydrate and just make sure that I could recover, but by Tuesday, so a couple days after the race, I woke up and I was just like, I am not getting better at all. I feel awful. My lower back hurts. Um, and so I went ahead and got some blood work done just to see what was going on. And then while we were waiting for the results to come back from that, I actually weighed myself, and I weighed like 145 pounds, right? And I'm typically 130.
Uh-huh.
So then we were instantly like, oh no, kidneys aren't processing as they should. I'm gaining weight from water weight probably. So Tuesday night, and blood work did come back. So Tuesday night, I ended up going to the hospital, but just for a few numbers on the blood work, like the proper CK level is 55 to 160.
Mhm.
My blood work came back on Tuesday, and I was at 47,000 CK level. So I was way up there, really, really bad shape. Um, so I went to the hospital. Obviously, they just started pumping tons of IV fluids into me. I put on a lot more weight. I got up to 165 pounds, which was crazy. But after 12 long days in the hospital of just pretty much constant fluids, um, my kidneys started fully functioning again, which is amazing because apparently when I first got there, I was like 50-50 for dialysis.
Oh, shit.
Uh, and the worst part of the hospital, it turns out my lungs and like pleural cavity is very susceptible to holding water. So there was a lot of times where I would just feel like I was underwater and couldn't breathe very well. So it wasn't a very fun stay. I think in my first YouTube video about Black Canyon, I made it look like I was all jolly and dandy,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But you were
I
hurting.
wasn't. It was tough.
Yeah. Oh
But
man.
we're good now. I mean, as of like yesterday, I just had my follow-up visit with the doctor, and my kidneys are like completely fine. I mean, it might take just a few months for like the actual injury to heal, but they're operating at full capacity. So it's
Cool.
fantastic.
That's perfect. So yeah, I mean, that's a scary story, scary incident. I'm glad that you're back to on the road, back to 100%. So how has that recovery gone? I know it's baby steps. Like, what does the next, let's just say next 90 days, if you even have a picture of what's going to happen in those next 90 days?
Oh yeah, I mean, since the hospital, like the first day of the hospital, I went for a walk just because I
Yeah.
needed that exercise. I wanted it so bad. But since then, I've been doing some stationary biking. Just started running a few days ago. I mean, not gonna lie, I'm pretty out of shape. I mean, sitting in a hospital bed for 12 days will do it to you. But I'm so excited about training. I mean, I've already wrote up a training plan, and I'm changing a few things around, but I'm changing to a 10-day cycle instead of a weekly cycle. So for the next 90 days, it's going to be just a lot of easy running, maybe some fartleks or just some up tempo stuff. Nothing serious, and just a long build for mileage. Because
Cool.
I probably won't race again till, I mean, depending on how all the training goes, till like mid to late fall. Like seriously race. I might do some small stuff, but there's
Cool.
just no need to rush anything right now and injure myself again. So it's just small runs. I've been doing 20-minute runs since I got back at like 8:30 to 8:50 pace. Just small time on feet, and then stationary biking as well. But yeah, just light stuff for the next little while and staying super hydrated.
Yeah. So no 120-mile weeks. Like,
No, not yet.
no, I saw a YouTube video like that you posted, and like, yeah, you had a 28-mile long training run, and dude, you're running like 520 sub 520 miles like on the last like 10 days. So, dude, yeah, you're a beast. But hey, baby steps. First, get healed. You have a bright future ahead. So, dude, yeah, you know what to do.
Absolutely.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, stay on the shelf until you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like looking ahead, what are some goals that you have from just a race standpoint? Is Western States on the horizon? Do you want to get there? Do you want to get across the pond to France? I mean, where are your big goals at for, from a long view?
Oh yeah, I mean all of the above. I have very big goals. Obviously, I definitely want to make it to Western States, and not only do I want to make it, like I want to be very successful at Western States. But I got to make it first, so
Yeah,
we'll
I
put that as the
actually
first step.
I live 30 minutes from Auburn. I'm right here in Folsom, California. So if you're ever training out here, or if you ever just make that race, I will be there with a Hans Troyer sign.
Nice. I would love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, Western States is like the next really big goal. I definitely want to go to France. UTMB sounds amazing. I mean, really, I just want to, as I've talked about in some of my videos and stuff, like I just really just want to find what I'm capable of and my potential in the sport. And I truly believe at this point that my potential is to be one of the best in the world. And that is a huge statement. It's a huge statement. It feels weird saying it in public,
I
but
believe it, man. You got to believe
but
it. You
it's
got to believe
it's
it.
what I've been writing down. It's what I've been thinking. So that's long term. I want to be one of the faces of the sport. I want to show everybody what I'm capable of, and I want to prove to myself what I'm capable of. So Western States UTMB, I feel like that's the biggest stage right now in the trail scene. So yeah.
Cool. Cool, man. Well, yeah, like I said, man, if you're out here, just let me know. I would love to connect and definitely just support you in any way I can.
Thank you.
So let's shift gears a little bit. So just a couple of closing questions. Who inspires you? Where do you gain inspiration from? I mean, that we could take that anywhere you want, but what inspires you?
Um, so what inspires me is probably, like I said, just finding my potential. I think it's when I say finding my potential, I think I kind of mean finding myself as well. I mean, I've learned so much about myself just in this training, and I feel like the further I go in it, the more I learn about myself, which is just so cool to me. So the inspiration just comes from that deep feeling inside of what can I do and who am I? Which just drives me every day. I wake up and I'm excited to train. I'm excited to try and eat healthy and do weights and stuff just because I feel like the ceiling can be so high if I just did everything correctly. Um, when it comes to who inspires me, there's a lot of people that inspire me. I mean, all the biggest names in the sport, obviously. I've read books on a lot of them. I think Jim Walmsley is hardcore. I mean, he's been so good for so long, and that's something that I want to be. After Black Canyon, Hayden Hawks, very inspirational. That man is the real deal.
Yeah,
Nice as can be. He was awesome. Um, but yeah, inspired by my family. I mean, that's the emotional answer. They're all so good at what they do, and I want to be as good at what I do as what they do.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah.
Cool. So I'll leave last question here. Any inspiring words or mantras that you just want to share with any of the viewers that are listening to this podcast?
Inspiration, man. Um,
Don't
as
overthink it.
as one of my sayings, I always say that these are the times. I said it all through college. I say it now in my ultra career, and I think it's so easy to look at the future or the past and just say like, oh, it was back when I was in college. Those were the times, or once I get this job, those will be the times. But I think it's so important just to almost stay in the moment and just realize like these are the times. I mean, when I was in college and competing and hanging out with my friends every single day, at the time, those were the times. I love
Yeah.
doing that. And now here I am. I'm getting my master's. I live in a camper. I'm training for ultra marathons. These are the times. I love training. And I look into the future. If I become successful in the sport and I'm living the dream, then those will be the times. But for now, I'm just living in the moment. I'm enjoying the training aspect. I'm enjoying the learning aspect. And these are the times. So I just could tell everybody, just remember that these are the times that you're living in right now.
That's amazing, man. Thank you for that, man. I felt that one. And with that, we're gonna end there because I don't think we could end it a better way. So I'm just gonna end it with a vamos. Thank you so much for joining, man. And I look forward to watching you and the world getting to know you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
All right.